So what you're looking at here is the Vectrex game system by GCE. Originally was owned by Magnavox. And the thing that's cool about the Vectrex is in the early 80s, late 70s, they had a bunch of vector games in the arcades running on vector scope. And if you don't know what that is, basically the gun that draws images on the screen draws them directly rather than line by line. So it doesn't use graphics; it actually uses the scope to draw the lines. And so you can make perfect circles and all sorts of stuff with it. And a lot of games that came out, about half and half, were either graphics or vector scope. For instance, if you ever played the game Tempest in the arcade, that was a vector game. The Vectrex was the only game system ever created that actually would play vector games. It actually has its own vector scope in it. And it was black and white, and you would actually use these sorts of screen overlays to put on the screen in order to play a game. I'm just going to set that there because I'm not going to put it in place right now. The controller itself had 4 action buttons and a right centering analog stick that worked really well. This is actually probably better than Nintendo's analog stick they came out with in the N64. It still to this day is very solid and controls very well. This controller, you could actually play 2-player. There's another port down there, and when it's not being used, you can actually connect it, slide it up, and it fits into the unit. There's a cartridge port on the side, and there's a handle on the back. I wish I could get you a better angle here, but I'm using the crazy tripod, and not so much. But you're going to get the general idea. So, let me tilt this up. That doesn't matter. It's still going to be a little bit blurry. So, alright, so this is, I have a multi-card in, so I can select all the games. The games themselves actually came separately. You would have to buy them separately. But 1996, I got a multi-cart for the unit, and it actually contains all the games that ever came out for the system. So this is Berserk, came out in 1982, and Berserk in the arcade was also a vector game. So you run around. Alright, you get the general idea. It's just like Berserk. Now I will, I'll show you something else, so you just get one more idea of the game system. It did come with the game built in as well. If you don't have a cartridge in, it plays a version of Asteroids called Mindstorm, which is actually a really, really fun and cool game. However, I'm not going to show that to you right now. Hyper Chase, Melody Master, Polar Rescue, Pole Position, Ripoff, Scramble, Solar Quest, Space Wars, Spike, Spinball, Star Castle, Starhawk, Star Trek. So say Star Trek, for instance. And I don't have an overlay for Star Trek, but it likely came with one when you bought it. There was also a 3D viewer for the Vectrex that you would actually wear shutter glasses on your head and put an overlay on the system, and it actually provided a very competent 3D image on the screen. So this one's actually like a first-person shooter type of or first-person whatever type of Star Trek. You fly around and battle space, Klingons and stuff. Alright, I don't know. The game's a little bit hosed right now because I don't have everything set up. There it goes. Now it says ready. I don't know. Maybe that's not right. There we go. And you can Now when you're thinking about this, you're probably like, well, this looks freaking horrible. But the reality of the reality of gaming back in 1982, if you remember a lot of the Atari 2600, because that's what this would be competing against, this was actually really good. I mean, this had some really full-featured games overall. You have a shield here that turns your shield on. You have a little bit of energy. This is actually like a portal thing generator, and you can actually shoot, when they shoot at you, you can shoot their shots. Pretty good game. And you move from sector to sector. There's a little bonus board where you fight Nomad. See, that allows you to go to another sector in the game. I know this is going to look all kind of crazy on the internet and everything. You're not going to get a really good picture of it. But there's other places. See, this is like a boss battle. And you got to think, back in 1982, I mean, how many boss battles were there on games? I mean, I'm sure there was some. But most of those Atari 2600 games, they just were games that kind of went on forever. And this actually had a, you know, a full-featured games. So very, very, very cool system. The Vectrex, and also very expensive if you try to find one that still works out there in the wild. Okay, so the rest of what's in tub number 5. I have a screen overlay for Scramble, which is that flying game. I got the owner's manual for the Vectrex. And mostly what's in here is a bunch of controllers. Which aren't all. I'm not going to unwire all these things, but I'll show. That's a original Mad Catz Xbox controller. This was the more expensive one with the 2 ports and everything on it. This one worked fine. Some of these early Mad Catz, however, had a bug in them that caused them to vibrate constantly while you were playing a game, which really sucked. This is another Xbox Microcon controller. I know they're all bundled up, but again, this is, you know, Mad Catz again, but it's just a controller. It's not that big of a deal. This is the cheaper Mad Catz that would vibrate all the time. So, you know, no big deal. Also for Xbox. Just the original Xbox, not the Xbox 360. This is an original Xbox controller. This is the gargantuan one that people would talk about. Has this big name plate in the middle, does nothing. Big hand separation, really thick handle here. You really got to grip it. And you know, on the 2 ports. Now, for me personally, this controller was great because I have giant freaking caveman hands. So it had nice triggers. These are really strong triggers. They had really good reaction time. You know, the buttons click. Everything was reachable for me. But for most people, especially, you know, over in Japan where they got little hands, this thing was way too big. Probably one of the biggest controllers, you know, of that generation, without a doubt, maybe of all time. Although, I mean, Jaguar, for instance, had a gigantic controller. This is the redone. Sorry, I got the cord all tangled up here. This is the redone one without this. This is a this was used for Xbox Live, the original Xbox Live. It was a SpeakerCon by Nyko, and instead of wearing a headset, you could just talk to this through like a speaker. It had a mute button right here, and you could take it out and everything. And then this was the regular speaker device that would come with Xbox Live. So this actually slid in and used it. Doesn't work anymore because Xbox Live for the original Xbox does not function anymore. But this was the revamped controller. As you can see, it's smaller label. They put the white and black buttons down here and everything. A little bit cramped though. See, my thumb's fully extended right now on these buttons. So it's the ball of my thumb. It's not, you know, for other people though, you got little hands, that's probably great. But for me, it's kind of like, not so great. Start, stop, D-pad, but very popular. This was, you know, people said this was a really great controller, so probably was. All right, so that's it. That's the rest of this is just cables, which I'm sure nobody cares about. So we'll see you on tub 6, if that's what I'm on. 5 or 6, I'll know by the next tub. Thanks for watching.